How's it hanging, fellas? I'm OrosZ and this is another episode of Terraria, and in today's episode we're going to finish all the unfinished business we have in this game. I know that last episode was the last one, but if you're new to this channel and also haven't done this in a while, every time I have something to do after I finish the game, because last episode we defeated the Moon Lord, which is the final boss of the game, so we pretty much finished it, you know, but we still have stuff to do that I haven't done yet. Me and Boss haven't done. He's still in these episodes, so yeah. And we're going to do this in this episode. And the stuff we... oh Jesus, the lags. The stuff we haven't finished is completing the tower defense minigame. Since we really failed pretty badly. And defeating the Empress of Light. I don't know where I'm going, by the way. I think we still have done some other stuff. This episode, when I recorded, was hour 40 minutes something long, because what happens in it, Boss is trying to get the best sword in the game for me, right? He's such a nice friend, right? But to get that, we need to get like a sword that comes from like a rock. And what Boss told me is that we don't even have this rock in the world, so he had to leave, enter a completely different world with his own, with the same character he used for this playthrough, and get that rock. And then he was just like gone for like an hour. And I was just standing and doing nothing literally for an hour, waiting for him to come back. So, this is all the shit we done in this episode. And yeah, what I thought, you know, if I don't have anything to say, maybe I should just finish the commentary like midway through the video. That would be a great idea. I still have my awesome, super duper black energy mango flavor. It's alright. It's pretty good. Oh look, the remains of the pillar that we fought last episode. So this episode I actually recorded right after. Not only I recorded the gameplay right after the previous one, because when I was recording the gameplay I wasn't just like sitting and recording 2 videos or 3 per day like I usually do. I was recording like a bunch of them. But the commentary I'm also doing after the last one, right after the last one. So that's a pretty cool. I think I've literally run out of things to say because I was talking about so many things last episode. I also kind of need to take a shit, but who cares? I wasn't sure if I'm going to have time to record this today, since the last episode was so long, and this one is not as long, but it's still 40-something minutes long. I still have, if I have some time, I still have another episode to record, which is a gameplay and such I made. It's another one I made on my phone, but this is another, like a game that, it's kind of a weird game, but I don't want to get, actually screw it, I don't have anything better to say. So, I have this, I bought a couple of years ago, maybe 3, 4, a card game. It's called Boss Monster. Yeah, so we were doing Martian Invasion and a bunch of other events because we still needed to get swords out of them that we didn't before because we got unlucky. So during Martian Madness, when the UFOs show up, they can drop you a space sword. That's not really good, but it's required to make the best sword in the game. And during the pumpkin moon, when the little pumpkin flying around, the pumpkin with sights for hands that flies around, he can drop you a pumpkin sword, and it's also required. And also, I think the frost moon, there's like an ice queen that shows up, and she also gives you a fucking sword. I'm not sure. Yeah, so it's a card game about building dungeons. You have a boss, you make a dungeon. You have dungeon cards where you can place them and it's like a room in a dungeon. Like the magic cards and everything, and then there's heroes that you have to defeat. And if you defeat And each hero gives you a soul. It depends if the hero is a normal hero or a legendary hero. Legendary heroes give 2 souls, while the normal heroes give 1 soul. And whoever gets 10 souls first wins, or whoever happens to stay alive while the other players die wins. Because if you get hit 5 times, which normal hero causes 1 damage, legendary hero causes 2 damage. If you get hit 5 times, if you take 5 damage more likely, then you die and you lose. And you know, then it comes to all this like placing trap rooms, placing monster rooms, upgrading them, all the combination of rooms. You know, you may place a room that have something like, if the room to the right side of this room is a trap room, then it causes plus 3 more damage. Or if you have another monster room of this kind in your dungeon, then it does this. And it gets into a bunch of complicated shit, right? It's really fun. I even bought expansions for the game that add alien monsters. And I bought a second game that just simply adds like way more cards to the game. There's a third game actually in the card series game, which is called the Rise of Mini Bosses, and it adds mini bosses, which I guess are like enemies heroes have to defeat midway through your dungeon. Man, I really do feel sick. Shouldn't have started recording right now. And yeah, it's fun. And there was at some point a mobile game based on that game. But what happened was kind of strange, because at some point it was available on Google Play, which is where I originally got it from. But it was like a premium game, like you could only play as one of the bosses, and it was just kind of repeating itself whenever if you didn't pay. So what I did like 2 days ago, when I recorded the gameplay for that game that I'm about to make a fucking video about, right? I got like an APK file, because it's not even available in Google Store anymore. For some reason, I don't know why. Maybe it wasn't worth it or something, I don't fucking care. And so I got the OPK file, and that's apparently like the full game. It still comes with fucking expansions that you have to pay for, but it's like, I swear to God, the game is not even on Google Play. How do I pay for those? And it's kind of ridiculous. Totino's, what? What is this shit? I don't know, I don't care. And yeah, they made a mobile game out of it, and it was alright. Who cares about it though? Nobody does. Trying to look if there's anything. Wastelanders free. Blah blah blah, I don't care. That's an interesting theory. Do you think that maybe, possibly, the reason why so many video games nowadays take up so much space on consoles and computers is so that you only have like one game on your console, because you cannot fucking download more of them, so you only play one game. Now, I never fucking play one game over and over, to be honest. When I beat one game, I move on to another game. And if like I beat like, I don't know, let's say I beat Terraria. I already uninstalled it, I fucking got rid of it, I'm not fucking gonna play it anytime soon. I feel like. Yeah, so you know what I thought I could do? Oh, and what happened to my recording of that stupid mobile game is, for some reason it didn't record the sound. I don't know, man, whenever I record anything on fucking phone, it's always like weird. So it didn't record the sound. So what I did when I was editing the video before, which I still have to add the commentary to, right? I just used Mega Man's 8 Aquaman stage theme song. It's really good. So yeah, if you watched that video and you were curious, and or maybe I forgot to mention that Mega Man's 8 Aquaman's theme song stage. I really fucking feel sick right now. Holy shit. What have you done to me, Monster Energy? Mike Tyson, I want a fucking refund. Gonna go to his house and ask for a refund because I felt sick after drinking stupid energy drink. No more energy drinks, I gotta stop drinking them. They're never good. They don't even taste all that good. I still didn't get the sword, or I got some weird wand, but not the sword. We do get the sword at some point, but it's like... It takes a couple of those UFOs to do... Oh, there you go. There it is. We still need the pumpkin one, though. Oh, and during our hunt for the pumpkin sword, boss also got the sheet of paper from the haunted trees that allowed him to have even more summons. Or maybe he got it before. I'm not sure. He already has a lot of summons, so maybe he did. Chapter 12, Conversation. Again, because I'm not going to finish this fanfic, I'm going to tell you it's called A Reluctant Terrarian by OrosZ. Pretty much if you just look up Terraria's fanfiction, you should find this one. If you want to find out where the story goes, because it's 30 chapters long, and I'm only at chapter 12, and I'm not gonna finish it because it's the last episode of Terraria. So let's start reading. Conversation. Probably the whole chapter is just going to be them talking about it, because if you forgot, which I didn't, last chapter, our main character with no name, I just realized he has no name, went outside, fought some monsters, and saved the traveling merchant. So this is literally the third character that showed up so far, because so far it's only been the main character in the guide, who's kind of a fucking psychopath and an asshole, by the way. But also the main character's kind of a whiny bitch, so I wouldn't fucking... I can't blame him for being an asshole to him. I would be an asshole to him. He's fucking annoying. So where are we? He could hear a small voice asking from somewhere far away. It was a voice he almost recognized, but until he could get a good look at the guy. Sitting in a small structure built by him, a voice he definitely recognized spoke up in response. Snapping his eyes open, he looked up at the man talking nearby. The guy was... shit. So, I was interrupted. You like my new chain thing? It has extended into 4 directions. Yeah, sorry, I'm back to reading this fucking fanfic. Snapping his eyes open, he looked up at the man talking nearby. A guy was pointing at him as he lay there on the floor. Right inside the doorway were the injuries he sustained last night were once again only a memory. The appetite that woke with him was certainly more important than either of those things, however. So pulling a mushroom out of his back, he washed that gnawing ache from his system. I kinda do like the way he puts like sentences together, you know, like, oh, looking at the door where the injuries of last night were just a memory, blah blah blah, right? I kinda do like it. It's not like annoying or anything. Definitely more interesting than the fucking Half-Life 1. But I do say that the Half-Life 1 was way more entertaining. Pulling himself up, he was once again in awe at how good he could feel waking up from a nap on the floor. His muscles ached in a way that he was sure had his muscles fucking... what's that? Fucking fucked it up. His muscles ached in a way that he was sure had everything to do with the lack of a given floor had. For fuck's sake. His muscles ached in a way that he was sure had everything to do with the lack of give a wooden floor had. Yeah, I did read it right, I just don't know what the fuck it's supposed to mean. But other than that, he was rather well recovered from the previous night's assault. Looking down at what used to be his clothing, he wished they reflected his internal recovery. So does this traveling merchant even sell his outfits? I don't remember what he sells. So who are you then? The small voice asked, eked out from a rather pathetic form lying crumpled in the back corner of the room. Walking over to the rag, but still rather well-dressed gentleman lying in a heap in the corner, he answered, "I'm the guy that saved you from the zombies last night." It was alarming how bad the bundle of a man on the floor looked, wounds still very visible through the hairs in his clothing. the increasingly less nicely dressed gentleman looked, well, he looked like someone who just had been assaulted by zombies in the night before. Knowing what he did about this place though, that didn't make any sense. How were you feeling, he tried to ask, but the gentleman's head had fallen to the side, and he gave no response. Reaching down to touch his chest, he could still feel a heartbeat, but the gentleman didn't so much as twitch at his touch. Oh, you gonna molest him now? He's out again, Gal informed him unhelpfully. I think I could have figured that out on my own, he snapped back. What's wrong with him? He asked, slightly sharper than probably necessary. This is of no importance, Guy didn't answer. What do you mean it's not important? He shouted. I've been molted almost every night that I've been here so far, and I wake up without a scratch. This guy gets attacked by one zombie, and he looks like he's barely got enough life left to sleep through the day, he continued. This is of no importance, Guy repeated himself. Listen, I don't care what you think is or isn't important, I just want to know what's going on with this guy, he snapped back. Why? Guy asked in a smug, almost condensed fucking shit. How do you pronounce it again? Condescending. There you go, tone. What can you do about it? What does it matter what's going on with this guy? He added. I don't know what I can do about it, he started. Nothing. His guide interrupted. So there's nothing I can do to help him recover from his wounds, he asked, his voice doing a poor job of containing the anger and frustration he felt. His lips curling into a lick smirk, Guile answered, I didn't say that. Grrr, he answered inarticulately. What? Inarticulately. His fist clenched at his side of his face, comforting with the strain of keeping his cool. Taking a deep, slow breath, he tried to speak again, carefully articulating every syllable in a failed effort to keep his voice from revealing his frustration any further. Okay, then what can I do to help him from recovering his wounds? Focusing on that would be a waste of your time, Gal responded. But as you seem rather fond of wasting time, you can accomplish both this and your greater goals simultaneously. You recall that pot you encountered in your first night? Caught off guard by Gile's underhanded helpfulness, he replied, yeah, what about it? The pot you found only held torches. The pots are not too hard to find, and generally you'll run across one containing a lesser healing potion before too long. So while you're out looking for the materials you need, you can keep an eye out for that as well, was the full answer. As was the case, any time guys seemed more than willing to share information without having it drug out of him, he wondered at the real motive behind the answer. The reasons for teaching him how to build things was apparent by his guide's reluctance to leave his new structure. What then did actually helping him heal the well-dressed gentleman would provide when it didn't matter? You're not going to do anything to him while I'm out gathering materials, are you? He asked, suddenly concerned. Is not my role, was his response. That is not an answer, was his reply. I'll suffice was all he got in return. Glaring at Guile, who, as usual, was completely unfazed, he decided that were it his guide's intentions to do something, there really wasn't all that much that he could do anyway. At least he'd provided him with a method of trying to heal the gentleman. He decided to try his luck with another question before he left, however. What exactly does a healing potion look like? How will I know I found one and not some other kind of potion? And are there even other kinds of potions? He rattled out. There are indeed a variety of potions, but as long as you're searching near the surface, you are unlikely to run across any others. You know when you found it, however, as the potion is red-colored liquid in a glass flask, he answered. Still not certain why Guy was being so helpful, but not wanting to do. Well, I don't know, because this was fucking roll. He was being so helpful, but not wanting to lose this opportunity, he tried another question. So where should I start looking for the potion? You should not be looking for the potion, Guy answered him. You should be looking for iron, cobwebs, and stone. The potion will likely turn up in a pot along the way. stopping before he snapped that he was less interested in these things than the potion. He indeed appended to his question, "Fine, where should I look for these things?" The terrain behind the structure should be littered with caverns, which is the ideal place to start your search. I'd be wary about going too deep, as there are things even more dangerous than the walking dead of the night, Guide answered him. Like what? He tried. That may be the final question you answered for yourself if you don't follow my warnings, was the answer, establishing that what he was shocked had taken so long. I was done being helpful. Fine, I'll keep from traveling too deep, he answered, and don't do anything to him while I'm gone, he added, uselessly before walking out the door. Guy replied in what sounded like an amused manner. Heading outside, he remembered the star he found the previous night and pulled it from his pouch. As the star began materializing in his hand, a bright flash of multicolored light and a rush of some kind of energy exploded from his hand, pulsing through him and leaving it empty. Standing there, not quite sure what just happened, he tried to look at the star, which was no longer in his pouch. A fallen star does not respond well to sunlight. It is unrefined state. Giles' voice came to him from the opening beside the door. So what happened then? He asked. It returns to its natural state, which is the fallen stars are a condensed magic that is foreign to this world. They have fallen to the surface of in some number every night since time immemorial. Immemorial. And their power had been used by both those native and those like yourself to great effect. The star's natural state is not unlike the nature magic running through this world, even though its energy is quite different, and oftentimes opposed. Over time, the magic from the fallen stars has worked its way into the very fabric of this world's magic, and though it's not a natural part, it is certainly a measurable quantity. What are we doing in the game, by the way? I just wasn't looking. I don't know, we're doing the events to get the swords, I think, still. So then, he tried again. What just happened there? As I've just said, the star returned to its natural state at the sun's touch, and has woven itself into a magic of this world. It's beyond your reach at this point, Gal responded, sighing over dramatically. If you wish to keep a fallen star from disappearing, you should keep it out of the sunlight. What the fuck? I don't remember anything like that happening in the game with stars disappearing. I fucking used the stars as ammunition at one point. I don't remember them ever disappearing in the daylight. Man, maybe I never tried to put them out in the daylight, I don't know. Angry at himself for losing the star even though he wasn't sure what he could have done with it, he decided to continue on his way. That's kind of funny to just find a fucking star on the floor. But not before asking, if there's anything else that be finding that I need to be wary of exploding unexpectedly? If you come across grenades, they are prone to exploding, though you generally have to pull their pins beforehand. Normally I'd be concerned with needing to warn someone about them, but with you... Great, I'll watch out for those, he muttered in response before... Oh yeah, so I was sleeping in my bed, right? And I was in my bed for like an hour, waiting for boss to get my fucking sword. I think he finally did. But I was still sleeping. I got a fucking break after all this shit. I never slept in this game. I deserve that. Great, I'll watch out for those, he muttered in response before walking around the back of the building and heading away from the structure in a new direction. Continuing to mutter under his breath, he walked until the ground began to slowly come apart, which was about as coherently as he could describe what he walked into. As he moved further from the structure, the trees thinnered, the ground rose, and then the earth apparently came apart in mid-air, without falling. After coming to an edge of the chunk of land still connected to the hill he just climbed, he just stood there for a moment looking out at the broken landmass in front of him. He had a hard time deciding whether or not it was worth to keep heading in that direction. Nothing in him welcomed the thought of climbing either onto or under the chunk of earth that just stood suspended in the air. Even being near enough to take a look then was causing a tightness in his gut that he couldn't set loose. Making it worse, a tree was growing out of a chunk of land suspended not too far from him. Looking straight down from his vantage, he could see that ground was almost a reachable distance below him. The fall wasn't that what worried him, just further than he could jump out. The first of those flying land masses sat suspended in the air with a tree just boldly jutting up from it. It wasn't a subtle effect either. He could see far enough below it that there was no chance of it being a trick or perspective. As much as he wanted it to be, he could have even say why. What the fuck are these noises I'm hearing? Where did I left off? He couldn't even say why, after the Walking Dead, flying demon eyes and sentient blobs, this bothered him so much. There was just so unshakable feeling of wrong to it that wouldn't come loose. Taking a deep breath, he decided, you know what, but natural floating things in the air in this game, at least all the ones I've seen. I'm making the awesome sword right now, by the way. You have to have all these swords to make the badass sword that you want. They're always in the background. You can see that they're always connected with the ground. So if you're seeing a floating island in this game, it's usually connected to the ground by the background, so you kind of assume that this isn't just a floating mass in the sky. It's more like this is a cave. It's like maybe a little tunnel, maybe like a little doorway, naturally formed doorway, something like that. So, I don't know, maybe it wasn't like that when this guy was writing the fucking fanfic since it was 2012. This is the most overpowered sword in the game. It does this, and pretty much I'm invincible with it. Well, alright, I'm not invincible, but I'm really fucking powerful. And I tried to make an even better version. I don't know, it didn't work all that much. So I was like, okay, sharp's pretty good. 303 damage, that's pretty good. 505 games, Vault 101, 303 damage. Hell yeah. Where the fuck did I left off? Taking a deep breath, he decided to try walking around the hill to come at this mess from further down. Perhaps there was a way down that didn't involve floating land masses. Looking to the right, he didn't see much to encourage this line of thinking. Nothing to the left either, at least not anywhere within sight of that. An idea came to mind. Pulling a dirt clump from his pouch, he leaned over the edge and attempted to place the dirt into the wall as far down as he could reach. Something strange occurred as he did so. The dirt seemed to leap from his hand, fastening itself to the earth as little beyond his reach. Lying there on the edge of a splintering shard of earth, this could have surprised him more. Pulling his metal sword out, he tried to shake the dirt loose to no effect. It was definitely staying put. He wondered at how far he could drop a piece of dirt into place. Yeah, so we were doing the tower defense, and all I did was basically just do this, and no one could even come to the screen. No enemy was tough enough to even fucking show up on the screen. To the point where I eventually started doing a little bit smaller tornado of blades, so you could at least see the fucking enemies showing up. Focusing on the bottom of a visible earth ledge, he pulled another piece of dirt from his pouch, and it too leapt from his hand and fastened itself to the wall, this time further down. Trying a third time, he wasn't able to get it to fasten itself any lower. The dirt stayed in his overhanging hand until he focused on a point, lighting up his last attempt. Crawling a little further out over the ledge, he was able to get dirt to fasten to the end of the two chunks he just set, creating a ledge that was wide enough for him to lower himself down on. If he trusted it, looking up, he saw that the sun had already crossed the first quarter of the sky, and that decided him. I can't read. Again, he had an objective to complete, regardless of guides and differences, and perhaps finding a potion to heal the gentleman's wounds would require him to put himself out of his comfort zone. Whatever that was anymore. Turning around, he lowered himself onto an artificial platform as he released his weight from the edge. Every muscle in his body seemed to tighten, but the new ledge held. Taking a slow, shuddering breath as he slowly loosened up, he allowed himself to carefully turn around on his little platform. That, by all means, should not have sustained his weight. Leaning back against the dirt, relief oozing out his muscles was a delicious sensation that he let himself enjoy for a few moments. Chuckling at himself for what now felt like an overreaction, he pulled his pickaxe out and removed the first chunk of dirt from the wall beside him. There was no reason for it, but seeing how easy the dirt came loose with a pickaxe sent another tight shiver down his spine that thankfully didn't linger. Pulling a few more chunks of dirt from his pouches, he winded the platform to a comfortable working level before he looked towards climbing down. The distance from his current level to the greater ground below wasn't enough that he needed to build another ledge, but he still had to lower himself carefully over the edge. Moving from platform to the ground wasn't as comfortable as he'd have liked it to be, especially once he was on the ground and he could actually see the underside of the bottom of the platform he'd just been on. And the overhang he had come down from, there was far too much dirt in the air and nowhere near enough support for it all. Firmly closing his eyes, he realized that threatening over that wasn't going to get him any further, and besides, at least this strangeness wasn't trying to kill him yet. Why is it so fucking long? Jesus Christ. Maybe I'm gonna finish it. We're actually halfway through this video, fuck. I don't even fucking feel like reading this anymore. Just fucking climbs dirt. You know what, I'm not going to read it. I don't wanna. I'm kinda fucking sick of this. Alright, I will read a little more. Opening his eyes, the first thing he noticed was that there was deeper creases all around him leading down. Some wider than others, and yet all of them are the same ragged look. As the earth just begun falling apart before stopping mid-fall to reconsider, the second thing he saw was the pot sitting beneath the overhang, not too far away. A felt of excitement was all he allowed himself before he walked over to check its content. It was at this point that he realized how very poorly designed these pots were. No matter how he tried, he couldn't quite make it out the contents of the pot, nor could he pull whatever it was in them out through the little opening. Had Guy not informed him that these pots were actually formed by the land, he actually really formed by the land, just fucking someone put them and died, whatever. He had frustrated himself trying to figure out how they got whatever it was into the pot in the first place. Deciding that he would follow the lead of his first pot encounter, he lifted the clay container and tossed it a little way away from him. It thumped on the ground, unfazed by its toss not to be derated. He pulled out his metal sword and soundly struck the pot. This seemed to do the trick, and the vessel gilded contains 5 arrows that were certainly longer than the pot had been wide. For a brief moment he considered it before placing them inside the pouches, which were certainly not as wide as the arrows were long. How much longer this video is? Plop. The sound of a slime landing very near to the right behind him startled him quite a bit more than he would have liked. The sound was what you would expect a gelatinous object falling from a respectable height would sound like, and it occurred within swinging distance of his sword, which was ready in his hand at the top. As his blade connected with the quivering blob, he wondered for a moment about how many more were nearby, just waiting for him to lose his limited focus. Following through with a series of slices, he made short work of the slime and took a careful look up and around. He didn't see any others. Jeez, my throat fucking hurts. See, I'm doing a little... Look, even when I'm doing like the smallest I possibly can of these tornado spins, they're still homing onto enemies that are nearby and just obliterating them. They do like 600 damage. He laughed at himself. He was his own worst antagonist. It was turning out that surviving here wasn't as dangerous as he'd let himself worked out about. Not that it was safe, just that by being careful he wasn't really in too much real danger, at least in the daylight. Putting his sword back into his pouches, he pulled the last torch out instead. Crouching down beside one of the fissures out a little way from the hill, he tried using the torch to look into the crack. It didn't seem to go too far into earth, but there was something down in the small broken valley that caught the light of the torch in a strange fashion, almost a dull reflection from the stone below, as if it were wet or he wanted to try something. Lying on the edge of a small cliff, he tried to get the torch and fasten itself to the wall just below his reach. And it worked. One moment he was holding the light, and the next he was secured in the wall. Lighting up the little cavern, an uncomfortable chill skittered down from the base of his neck. But that was already pushing his recently schizophrenic sense of comfort. But if he could fasten even the torch without actually holding onto it, this wasn't the time to really think about this. He had an objective to complete, and figuring himself out wasn't going to make it easier. But the added unease wasn't as easy to shake, and he began to doubt how much further he should go. Forcibly tucking those thoughts away for the moment, he tried to remember how to make torches, pulling a piece of wood out in one hand and a gel out in the other. He brought them together with the gel at one end of the wood as the gel fastened itself to the wood. The wood pulled apart into 3 smaller torches, which he then satisfied that he could make more if he needed, placing his pouches. Getting up, he walked around the fissure until he found an area that was ragged enough for him to climb down. At the bottom of the wall, he pulled another torch out by fully holding back the grown shade that he had followed him down and walked over to where he seen the glittering stone. What is the glittering stone? I don't know, some bullshit. Are we done with the old one's army? Pulling his pickaxe out, he struck at the edge of the metal. At his blow, a section of the metal flexed much like the dirt pit before, and the pickaxe rebounded hurtedly. Continuing to strike at the section of the raw material, it wasn't too many blows before pop, a chunk of metal material sprouted from the wall and condensed into a small, rounded, and rather solid chunk of metal. Picking it up, he was actually surprised by its seeming density. He almost expected the metal, like the dirt before, to have been loosely held together in a malleable mass. Now what happened? Only 7 waves, that's it. The old one's army has been defeated. This clump felt pretty solid and surprisingly weighty. Placing it into his pouches, he was glad for the first time that he seemed to mitigate the weight of everything he was carrying. It began to occur to him how much he began accumulating thus far. Shaking those thoughts off before he started wandering too far down the line, he instead turned his attention back to the metal and the wall, and he began collecting the rest of it. And we end this fucking fanfiction reading, because I don't have time to read another one, at chapter 13, Miner at Large. Maybe if this series was longer, I would have finished reading it. Or maybe if I read an episode or a chapter per episode, I would actually finish it, but I didn't fucking care to finish it. So yeah, fuck it. Fuck this fanfiction, I guess? You know what, not fuck this fanfiction. This fanfiction was alright. I didn't fucking hated it. But it was kind of annoying. It was so slow. Could have been slightly fucking faster. And standing desks. I've been to a... Fuck, I don't know. I've been to somewhere and they had like standing desks, right? Then I was... like, holy shit, how can you fucking work like that? With standing desks? Man, this is all bullshit. What if I fucking ask them? I follow so many artists on Twitter, right? And I like check out their shit. It's pretty cool. What if I would, you know... What if I would pay one to make me a background for YouTube? You know what? No, I don't wanna. I made my own background with YouTube, and you know what? It's okay. The problem I have with the backgrounds on YouTube that was pissing me off is that for some reason It's like fucking... For some reason what happened is... Oh, I got a new outfit, you like it? I have now like purple hands, my outfit is normal. It looks better than the stupid purple one I had before. So, yeah, we defeat the Empress of Light. I mean, she defeats us, but we defeat her later. How much damage she dealt to us? She fucking obliterated us with one hit. Us both. It's not like I was dumbass and I got into her way. No, she just fucked us up immediately. Thanks for the chance. Yeah, so when you upload a background to YouTube, you don't get to like choose, oh, let's say on mobile background will be this, on my PC background will look like this, my fucking TV background will look like this. No, it's like a blood moon, are you fucking kidding me? That was my reaction at least, now I don't care. So what happened? Oh, I know what happened. When you summon her during the day, she's like way tougher than when you summon her during the night. But I think we do manage to defeat her during the day, actually. That's like the last thing we do. And instead what you do is you upload one picture and it adjusts itself into being all these 3 different backgrounds at the same time. So when I originally made my background, I was like, okay, here's my background. And it looked fine on mobile. It looked like shit on PC. And it looked even shittier on TV. So I hope nobody watches me on my channel on TV, because that's the worst version of my background. On the mobile, it looks cool. On PC, if you're using dark mode, it looks alright. Oh look, we defeated her. We done it. We did it. We defeat the Empress of Light. I heard the sword is pretty cool actually, but I don't know. Didn't care to use it, I guess. And yeah. I just wish YouTube would allow you to fucking choose like, this is how my mobile background will look, this is my PC background, this is my for PC, so on TV. So I could just simply make 3 different versions of my background and upload them all separately. But no, I can't, I have to have like one very specific one. So it's like, I have this one very specific one, right? One very specific background for all 3 of those platforms, and I guess it just simply have to be like, here's what it's gonna look on mobile, but then if you're going to like watch my channel on PC, it's gonna expand to be wider, and it's gonna be like more shit on it. But that's not how I did it, because I couldn't fucking pull it off, so I just simply gave gray background everywhere. So if you want to see my background on TV, I think it's just like gray, and my little background is like really small. Also, what Boss tried to do here is he tried to activate day, like at the very end of the fight, so that when we killed her, we would get like cool shit or something. I don't even know what he did. Yeah, we defeated her a couple of times, not as many as we defeated Moonlord last episode, but yeah, we certainly defeated her many times. And yeah, it's the end of this series, you know. I don't know if I'm ever going to replay Terraria, if I'm ever going to play it again. Maybe Terraria 2 will fucking be a thing one day and I will play that, who knows. You know, I done a fucking let's play of Terraria before I done Minecraft. Look, I do kinda wanna make Minecraft at some point, but it will be... well, not anytime soon, I gotta say. And unless I die or something terrible will happen and I'll have to stop making let's plays, my hand will fucking fall off from all this jacking off I do. My hands will rot away from the sins I fucking do. Oh, but whatever. So yeah, we were just constantly defeating the fucking Queen of Light over and over again. I think Boss wanted to see the sword she dropped before. But like the sword became material, or whatever, I don't know. Let's fight her again. Let's finish this series once and for all. And then I hope I don't fucking lose this footage by accident or something. I was copying files yesterday on my computer, and you know what happened during the fucking process? Windows broke. Then it resetted my computer, and I was like, great, I bet all the fucking videos I was just copying, not copying, I was just putting them from my disk on my computer, I bet they're all fucking gone. And I don't know whether there was an update to Windows and they fixed that. But what happened, episode 27 of Yakuza 0 got corrupted and broke. And I was like, fucking bullshit, god fucking damn it. Again? What is with this fucking Yakuza Let's Plays that I just cannot fucking do them without them breaking? Or something annoying happen. But then it turns out that on my disk I still had episode 27 non-corrupted. And I just uploaded it like no problem, and I was like, okay, that's cool. Why the fuck before it just... So did they update that? So now when I'm like copying shit and it happens to break. I think what might have happened is that the episode 27 was like at the beginning of being copied, and then it broke. So the file on the disk was still there, and the file that I had on my computer that was broken, it was kind of like the not exactly copied, but copied episode 27 of Yakuza 0. Episode 36, I bet, or 26 or something, of The Outer Worlds broke, and I couldn't fucking record that one. The episode broke, and I just didn't fucking record it. Just one episode missing out of that Let's Play because I just did not hit the save file. I couldn't get back to that part of the level. Also, I have a sword following me around now. That's pretty cool. Well, the only thing I care about following me around is Sweetwater. So here we go. Wholesome ending. We go back to this little house. We're gonna sit on a couch. Very nice. I think it didn't work exactly because there was like so much shit in our way that we couldn't even fucking... I couldn't see boss. And I was like, damn it, get this fucking wisp out of the way, it's stupid. But yeah, it's a wholesome ending, isn't it? Not really, but whatever. So, see you fellas in the next series, bye.